It's my favorite segment of the week. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers Talk Mailbag here on Chat Sports for Wildcard Week. You guys have submitted your questions this week, and today I'm going to be providing some answers. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys that tuned in for our Thursday live show where we recorded this mailbag here. But before we get into the questions, make sure you guys click that subscribe button because we try to give you guys the most interactive Steelers fan community anywhere here on YouTube. We go live twice a week. We go live for every single Steelers game where we react to the game together. This is a family of over 110,000 Yinzers strong that we have built over the last several years. And what we try to do is we try to provide a community of fans that can come together every day and talk Steelers football together and also get the news of the day and, all that different stuff. So if you guys are interested in daily and free entertaining coverage on the Pittsburgh Steelers and you want to join a community of over 100K Yinzers that bleed black and gold, this is the place for you. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button. And with that, I'll pause and open it up for questions, starting with Ethan with a $2 super chat. Says, all in and trade for Garrett Wilson if 8 returns. Well, the problem with that is that apparently Wilson and Rodgers are not on great terms. If you'll remember, last year, there was reports that Wilson was going to demand a trade out of the New York Jet organization if they brought back Rodgers for another season. So it seems like that, relationship is a bit on the rocks. And by the way, he just signed a brand new contract in New York, and he's locked up for the long-term future. So, I would say if you want to trade for a wide receiver this offseason, Jordan Addison is probably the one that makes the most sense to me. Anyways, I would say a Garrett Wilson trade is pretty unlikely. $5 from Andrew Ringler says, which wide receiver do you think would make sense for Pittsburgh Steelers to sign during the offseason? There's a number of interesting possibilities. And I do think that the Steelers this offseason will, at the very least, sign a pretty decent veteran free agent or trade for a veteran, and they will draft a wide receiver pretty darn early in the draft, either first or second round. They'll take a wide receiver, and there's a lot of different combinations that the Steelers could go with. All right, and there's a number of them that I would accept in terms of the free agency market. Romeo Doubs makes a lot of sense because of his connection with Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, Rodgers called the Packers himself before the season to see if he was available via trade. So it seems like Rodgers would really want Doubs here. Another name that makes sense is Alec Pierce. A good deep threat would be awesome. Another one that I think would be a great fit is Deebo Samuel. Deebo had over 800 yards in Washington this year, so he's not bad. And, he continues to be one of the best yak receivers in the game. He's still a big body that can run. He still has some of his speed left with him. He hit over 20 miles per hour on a big touchdown run this year. You can use him as a gadget. And then, with this offense with Aaron Rodgers, especially if Rodgers is coming back and he's, dumping it off to playmakers in space and the way that this Steelers offense operates, like Deebo's a perfect fit for that. Like he's not really a downfield separator, route runner type of guy, but you can always get one of those guys in the draft and have that guy fill that role in this offense. Well, Deebo is kind of the gadget piece. So there's a number of different things that you could do on free agency. Also, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, a couple others are free agents this year that you could consider. I'm sure the Steelers will. $20 from Edwards says, would love to see Mike McDaniel as the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh. I would love to see it too, man. I think McDaniel might be a top 10 play caller on the offensive side of the ball in the sport, period. Doesn't matter what level we're talking about. But he has no connections to Pittsburgh. He's got a ton of connections in a bunch of different places, and he might get another head coaching job. So it looks like Cleveland and Atlanta are both interested in him as a potential head coach candidate. And then if he's going to be an OC, I think it makes more sense for him to go play for one of his best friends in Dan Quinn. The GM there in Washington. Adam Peters was the assistant GM in San Francisco when Mike was there as the OC. They have Jaden Daniels, one of the young superstars of this league. There's just really no reason for him to go to Pittsburgh where they've got, a very short-term solution at quarterback. They have a head coach in Mike Tomlin that has no connection to him whatsoever. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, unfortunately, for the Steelers. I would love for him to be here, but I would put close to a 0% chance Mike McDaniel's the next OC of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, I think Arthur Smith is probably back next year. $5 from Black Wolf says, okay, Jack, let's be real. There are better OCs out there for us. What do you think about Kliff Kingsbury? Also liked his offensive scheme. And listen, man, I think Kliff would be fine, but I'll reiterate this point. I think Arthur Smith is probably staying. Now, we as Steelers fans can have our criticisms or our gripes or whatever with Arthur Smith, but it's very clear, at least to me, that Mike Tomlin is pretty pleased with Arthur Smith through the first 2 years of his tenure here in Pittsburgh. He still has more time on his contract, and if Aaron Rodgers comes back next year, which I think is likely, he clearly loves Arthur Smith. Like, I just don't think, unless Art gets a head coaching gig this year, which I think is pretty unlikely, maybe a less than 5% chance of that happening, in my opinion. I think he's probably back next year. Now, Kliff, what's good about him and his profile is he's really good at transitioning college quarterbacks to the pro game. He did it with Kyler with the Cardinals, and he did it with Jaden Daniels in Washington. And the reason why his system in particular is good for younger quarterbacks coming from the college ranks is it's the most college-esque style of pro offense you're going to find, right? Lots of spread concepts, lots of shotgun, lots of pistol, lots of RPOs, lots of screens, stuff you see in the college game, and he's been a coordinator both in the college ranks and in the pro level. So he knows, what that transition for a young quarterback looks like. So if the Steelers are going younger quarterback or drafting a quarterback this year, I think Kliff Kingsbury makes some sense. But like I said, I think Arthur Smith is probably back next year. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Would you hire Mike McDaniel to replace Arthur Smith at OC? I mean, this is going to be yes. Everybody's just going to answer yes to this question, but just let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's big question. In just a second here, we're going to have a word from our sponsor. While I tell you about today's sponsor, give me a yes or a no down there in the comments. With that, let's have a word from our sponsor today. With our website here, you guys can go chatsports.com/AFC North to pick up your 2025 AFC North championship gear when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the first division championship in a half decade. And guys, this is going to be the year for me where it's the first division championship since I've taken this job. So it's always going to hold a special place in my heart. It's also going to be a very memorable year because this is going to be the year where Aaron frickin' Rodgers, a top 5 quarterback in NFL history, decided to come play here and then delivered us a division championship and a home playoff game. So if you guys want to remember this season forever with a piece of clothing, either a hat or a t-shirt, you can go chatsports.com/AFC North to make it happen today. Also, part of the proceeds go back to us here when you click our link. So when you click our link and you make a purchase, part of the proceeds do go back to us here at Steelers Talk. So I greatly appreciate your guys' support. If you want a t-shirt or a hat today, again, chatsports.com/AFC North to make it happen. $10 from Dan Talbot here. He says, what do you think about Tyler Huntley in Pittsburgh? I just don't see it happening, Dan. Because as a starter, he's not a good enough player to be a starter in this league, in my opinion. I think he's got one of the ugliest throwing motions in the league, which leads to a lot of inconsistency with his accuracy week to week. Now, I think he's a decent backup, especially if you have a mobile quarterback. But the Steelers, man, they've got, especially if Aaron Rodgers comes back next year, he's going to be your starter. If he doesn't come back, I think that there's probably better options for Pittsburgh than Tyler Huntley on the market. Then we get Andrew Ringler with a 5, says, even if we would go to the Super Bowl, do you think Tomlin should go? No. I mean, I honestly, I'm okay keeping Tomlin for another season as is, even if they lose this weekend to Houston. I think that it's fine to keep him for one more season. And kind of let him play out the rest of Cam Hayward's career. And then if the Cam Hayward era ends with no playoff wins in the last 10 years, maybe next year is the year where you move off of him. But I think this year, I think he's done enough to keep his job for one more year. And if you go to the Super Bowl, you're definitely not firing him. Just when was the last time a coach that went to the Super Bowl left? I just don't think. Maybe Jimmy Johnson? Has it been that long? So it's just probably not going to happen. I think Tomlin loves coaching. I think he loves coaching here. I don't think he's going anywhere, no matter how the Steelers do in the postseason. $2 from Noah, the Steelers fan, says, if we lose by 20-plus points, do we fire Tomlin? Now, that's going to be the discussion, right? Because if we get blown out again in the playoffs at home, then it might be a discussion, right? But it sounds to me, and Tony Dungy said this, I believe I was on the Dan Patrick show this week, that he had a conversation with Art Rooney II, the owner of the team, and he said that Art has no intentions of parting ways with Mike Tomlin, and the only way Tomlin leaves is if he wants to leave, and there's just no sign that Tomlin wants to leave. There just isn't. So even if they do lose by 20-plus points, they're not going to fire him. He's got multiple years left on his contract. My guess is they give him at least one more year, and we'll see what happens at the end of the 2026 regular season. DJ KJ coming in here says, what is it going to take to go all the way and win the Super Bowl this year? It's going to take a couple things. It's going to take your defense playing special football. All right, it's going to take your defense playing at a really high level. And listen, man, they're top 5 in scoring defense the last month, and they're like the number 1 defense in the league in the first 3 quarters. But they've had some moments here where they've given up a lot of yardage in the fourth quarter in pass-heavy situations. That's a weakness of this team, which is weird because you'd think with the pass rush here in Pittsburgh that wouldn't be the case, but unfortunately it has been, at least over the last month. But, the pass rush in general is doing a really good job. The run defense is top 5 in EPA per rush over the last month, so the run defense is back now that Derek Harmon is in there. So the defense is going to have to be really good. Also, Aaron Rodgers is going to have to be playing some of the best football of his career. It's going to have to be similar to what it was in Rodgers' first Super Bowl run, where he carried that Wildcard Packers team, which, by the way, had a good defense that year, and played some really special football in that playoff run. He's going to have to do that this year. Play smart football, not throw up 4th and 1 goal balls to Scotty Miller and make stupid decisions with the ball like that. He's going to have to be a good, smart distributor of the ball, protect the football, and then you need some players to step up on offense and make plays down the field. DK Metcalf, Adam Thielen, Calvin Austin, MVS. If you can get those 3 things, and also Chris Boswell not missing any field goals would be nice too. If you do all those things, the Steelers can beat anybody in the National Football League. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a real one, if you appreciate the content that we provide for you guys on this channel for free, clicking that thumbs up icon is the easiest way to help us out, because when you click that thumbs up icon, and the more people that do that, YouTube is going to recommend this show to other Steelers fans on the platform, which gets new eyeballs on our channel, which leads to more subscribers, which means more likes. So it's just kind of the cycle of life here on YouTube. If you want to help us out here, click that thumbs up icon. I would greatly appreciate it. Lazar Frags says, what is the percent chance that the Steelers win Monday? I am going, by the way. Well, have fun, man. That's going to be a hell of an environment. Home playoff game for the first time in a half decade in Pittsburgh. Enjoy it, man. That's going to be awesome. I would say it's pretty close to a toss-up for me. I would put it anywhere between 55 and 60% chance Steelers win. But I can certainly see the Texans winning as well. I think it's going to come down to which team makes the big plays in the fourth quarter. Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers? Is it going to be C.J. Stroud and the Texans offense? Is it going to be one of the defenses coming up huge? I think it's going to come down to that fourth quarter. And we'll see who ends up making that play. The Steelers have made the play in the fourth quarter in a majority of those close games this year. When they've lost this year, it's been more in blowout fashion. So if it's close, man, I'm going with Aaron Rodgers to make that big play over C.J. Stroud. So who you got? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Do you think the Steelers or the Texans win? I think it could go either way, but right now I would lean Pittsburgh this week, but let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And that'll be it for this week's mailbag. Of course, this mailbag is set to come out on Sunday, which means we're just a day away from the first home playoff game in Pittsburgh in a half decade. The excitement with this fan base is palpable, and it's been an awesome week preparing for this playoff matchup. So, of course, with this coming out on Sunday, enjoy some more NFL playoff action. That's going to be happening this afternoon, guys. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Till next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.